love it though, Chris. It's awesome.
Thanks. See if I can get it right. I'm close. Okay. Good.
So, Chris, what's up, man?
Not much. What's up?
Oh, I hadn't seen you in since I looked up from the guitar a few minutes ago.
That's a long time.
Yeah. Welcome to the local pickup. I'm Jason Broadwater.
I'm Chris Gervais.
And I'm Jason Broadwater. There's the three of us here.
This could go on a long time.
We could go back and forth. This is a gorgeous, amazingly, wonderfully beautiful Gretsch Rancher from 1957. I said it, 57.
Whoa.
I mean,
They just banged against the chair.
this thing is just beautiful. The brand, the finish, and the brand just immediately like a spotlight shining on you.
Yeah.
How gorgeous this guitar is. The rosewood bridge, funky bridge going on here, clear pick guard, and then this is a flat top guitar, you know, but no, it's not.
What?
It's an arch top guitar.
It's an arch back.
Arch back guitar.
Arch bottom. It's arch bottom.
Arch bottom.
Arch bottom
You know
girls.
arch bottom. The arch bottom.
Did you know arch bottom girls make the world go round? Did you know that? A lot of people don't know
I
that.
didn't really know that. I mean, this is a figured maple. If you can see how just gorgeous that is, and it's an arch back, like an arch top guitar, but just the back is arched.
Yeah, which is crazy because the front is flat.
And the front is
back
flat. You don't see that much. Yeah. Usually a flat top guitar is going to have a flat back.
I immediately think about the Ovation with the big egg.
The plastic.
You got to be in good shape to play an Ovation because otherwise it's just.
You know, I had one of those for a while, and
Did you?
It's because my dad bought it from my uncle, and my uncle was like, "Oh yeah, he'll love this guitar. It's really nice." It was a nice guitar, and he gave it to me as a teenager when I was like a punk rock kid.
Yeah.
And the last thing I wanted was a plastic back.
70. That Sailing Away.
Yeah, and Bon Jovi. I mean, they adopted it.
Oh, they had the
quick.
Ovation? Yeah, well, those guys are good. Again, I want to say, because the thing about the arch back, it's pushing, if you have a belly,
It keeps
you have
slipping.
two opposing forces that don't work together.
Well, this is nothing like a 1980s.
Yes, this is a
Ovation.
subtle arch.
This is a 1957 Gretsch Rancher.
Nobody had a belly then.
Nobody had bellies then. It was gorgeous because people walked to work then, before the car.
They walked out to the ranch. To walk out to the ranch.
So this is a triangle sound hole, which you don't see much. And Gretsch, so here's the deal. In a horseshoe up here, I mean, it's just all kinds of beautifulness. The little trim that goes through the center of the neck here, just a beautiful, beautiful guitar.
It's still got the cool Gretsch, the pins for the
Yeah,
strap.
absolutely.
Cool
That's
little,
so Gretsch, yeah.
Gretsch pins.
And these blocks on the inlays.
I love a big fat inlay.
Oh yeah, I know. And it's a jumbo guitar, you know. So acoustic guitars, you have different body styles, as you know. It's like you have the dreadnought, which is your kind of traditional shape of guitar. Jumbo is a giant rounded, and
That's a jumbo.
This is a jumbo. Auditorium's kind of like the same shape, but smaller. And then you see a cutaway auditorium. It's the same shape but smaller with a cutaway.
The Garth Brooks.
Yeah, and I have a Takamine that is
That's
that.
specifically
That's more
the
my
Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks.
yeah, specifically. Yeah, very specifically Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this
We like
guitar,
to keep it specifically Garth Brooks.
we like to be specific. If there's anything we do here,
We're specifically
yeah.
Garth Brooks.
So anyway, welcome to garthbrooks.com.
We're gonna post neat stuff, cool stuff.
But this guitar is just really, it's truly beautiful. So like Gretsch, I've told the story of Mr. Gretsch, in the past episodes. But Gretsch was founded by an immigrant that moved to this country, Mr. Gretsch, who started Gretsch Company in Brooklyn, New York, which a lot of guitar makers were in New York. They made drums, and then they started making guitars, and they made jazz.
So the drums came first.
I believe so, man.
Okay.
Like in the late 1800s, they were making
Jeez
drums.
Louise.
Yeah.
Rocking out.
Yeah, no. I need to do my research on that, but I believe they were making drums first. But
For that band in Back to the Future 3,
yeah,
the ZZ Top band, if you're a little BTTF.
well, when Leo Fender released the Telecaster, he first released it as a broadcaster, but Gretsch already had a drum kit called the Broadcaster, and so they were like, "Oh, you can't do that." Yeah,
Get that out of here.
Get that out of here, Leo Fender. But anyway, when Gretsch got taken over by Fred Jr., so Fred Jr. goes to so there's like the guy who started it, then there's Fred, his son, who took it over, and then there's Fred Jr. So this is already third generation by the time we're in the 50s. This guy's already gone to fight. He was in the Navy, and he's come back to this country, and he takes over control of the company. And he realizes, because of Leo Fender's Telecaster and Stratocaster and stuff, that the guitar is where it's at. And they were making all kinds of instruments and stuff. So he starts making guitars in the 50s. And they were the first to do really experimental things like these crazy bridges, the triangle sound hole. They were putting Bigsby's on. I mean, they even had I saw one that had a tremolo system on an acoustic guitar.
Dang.
So, yeah, I know.
It's kind of weird.
I
That
mean,
pick guard, it's like a 1/4 inch thick.
Yeah, so it's just stuff people weren't doing. And, you had your, Gene Vincent, that Be-Bop-A-Lula, she's my babe, that Elvis kind of time period. Gene Vincent was touring Europe, died of alcoholism touring Europe when he was 30-something.
It's not easy being in a relationship with Be-Bop-A-Lula.
Exactly.
I mean,
versus, being in the United States and treated like a king, he was in dingy clubs, traveling around. These were the true kind of like how bebop became rockabilly. I mean, excuse me, how, what am I trying to say? Before hippie, the
Beatnik?
Beatnik, how Beatnik kind of evolved into rockabilly, which then became mainstream rock and roll. But the guys that stayed underground were still the kind of beatnik, kind of rockabilly crowd. They adopted the Gretsch brand. I mean, full on.
I've always associated Gretsch with that.
Oh, with rock. I mean, even into like Brian Setzer. Of
That's
course,
where I think I was probably introduced to it. It was Brian Setzer.
Actually, but he's paying homage to a generation before him of people like that, like Paul Peek, who was in Gene Vincent's band and played one of these. And they tour Europe and play Be-Bop-A-Lula. Yeah. But here's strum on it. It's got a definite.
Be-Bop-A-Lula.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Baby.
It makes you want to Be-Bop-A-Lula. And it's just undeniably cool, The beautiful finish. I love the brand, which is weird. It's in a place where you always cover it up when you play, but it's still just super, super cool.
Unless you Johnny Cash it.
Right, yeah.
Maybe it's encouraging.
Have it really high and go.
Johnny Cash. That's my Johnny Cash impersonation.
Yeah. So that's it. That's the.
But it is cool, and I think it's funny because it makes complete sense on a guitar, but I've never seen it before.
Right. Yeah.
But it is like, especially as this is the Rancher.
And
that's
it's a 6022 was the call sign of the guitar, the number of the guitar, 6022, and it was called the Rancher.
But I guess that's because of this thing, and it's like you're on the ranch and you got to brand them cows.
Well,
it doesn't matter how they cry.
They discovered
you just burn them.
The whole Chet Atkins series and stuff that Gretsch did. It had that cowboy country picker kind of vibe. And Gretsch and Fred Gretsch Fred Gretsch Jr. when he came back from the war and everything and took over the company, he realized that branding and stylistic was a powerful thing.
Right.
And so they decided to create a lot of stuff that was kind of
interesting,
of the kind of West and cowboy look.
So before the big rockabilly pompadour, and the two-tone, whatever, that's ska, that's not rockabilly. Before all that stuff came along, it was like, let's go cowboy around
cowboy,
the campfire.
and then those guys adopted the cowboy thing and made it weird. Like, you know, beatniks in Europe playing in underground bars, playing cowboy instruments, playing Be-Bop-A-Lula. You know, it's definitely a mixed bag.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So anyway, that is a 1957. Dude, that means
this
it's like
thing,
60-something years old. Yeah, it's really
cool. That's a pretty cool. I don't know if you're that. There's a stripe down the back. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
going
really
all the way up the headstock and
It's
everything.
gorgeous. The back of it's gorgeous.
Oh, and that's not it's funny. The Gretsch logo almost looks like hand
I know, yeah.
burned in there. It's got a little horseshoe.
That horseshoe's
for
cool.
the cowboys.
That was unique for this instrument.
To appeal to cowboys who are familiar with horseshoes.
Yeah, I don't think it was actually cowboys buying the guitar.
Oh,
I think it was people bought into the notion that
I'll take that one. It's got a horseshoe. That's not a cowboy voice at all.
That was, you mixed up your impression.
Yeah, that was Jimmy Stewart. I'm Jimmy Stewart. I like horseshoes. I'll take that one. Again, probably not even Jimmy Stewart.
Not even Jimmy Stewart, yeah. Not even close. Yeah.
I got one voice.
So these humped, squared off inlays are cool too. They just really took everything to the next level as far as designing the aesthetics of a guitar, you know, early on. And people loved it.
Yeah, there's all kinds of weird design choices, like the triangle sound hole. That's
and this
bonkers.
rosewood freaking
yeah, and this thing, look at that
stuff
sucker.
is insane.
It's a showy cowboy.
It's really showy.
And that's why you're saying it's like a real cowboy would know. I don't need all that
A
junk.
fake cowboy that doesn't know.
But a fake cowboy would be super into all that. If you're a fake cowboy, you want the Rancher.
I think we're misrepresenting the Rancher here. It's an amazing guitar.
It is. It's awesome.
Even for
amazing.
real or fake cowboys.
Yeah, for a
anywhere
guitar player, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But if you're a cowboy, I think you're turned off by all this showy stuff.
Yeah, you don't need all that.
You don't even need it. You just make guitar sounds with your mustache. You don't need a guitar.
Right. All right. Well, that is the 1957 Gretsch.
Granch. The chicken bacon Granch.
That is the 1957 Gretsch Rancher.
It is a cool, weird guitar.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I mean, it's really, just looking at it, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and with as far as like this still is a true acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And which is a realm where you don't see a lot of crazy, weird experimentation like this. A lot.
Absolutely. I mean, you got your normal looking, you know, dreadnoughts or whatever, and every one of them looks the same. So this is definitely something like you'd see on an electric guitar where they'd go nuts on designing it and stuff. Yeah. It's really cool. And the fact that it's 60-something years old and in the shape that it's in, I mean, this particular guitar is in such good shape, it feels like it's like 10 years old, not 60-something years old.
5 years old.
Or 7 years old.
Yeah.
Could be 11 years old. You don't know.
It's 11. It's not 11.
It's probably, it feels like 11. Yeah. But it's actually 60-something. So.
Weird.
All right, well, I'm going to stop talking.
Okay. Well, I think you said it well.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, next time on the Logo Pickup, we're going to meet the bad guys, finally. We'll see where our hero stands on the edge of the cliff. And good old Linda Lou.
Good old Linda Lou. Be-Bop-A-Lula. She's my baby. I got a baby.
I'll see you next time
On the Logo Pickup.
Pickup.